Okay. Hi, welcome back. We're talking to Ron. Mr. Delight, do you still insist that you are Mask to Mask? Isn't that what I've been saying since yesterday?
That was a quick response.
Tell me about it. To be honest, it's starting to get irritating.
But listen, Mr. Delight. At the trial today, we learned the true identity of the thief, didn't we?
Take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself. Here I am, the tragic clown. I guess it's true. I wasn't the one who stole that urn.
Of course not. After all, you were at KB Security at the time.
So then the person dressed up as Mask to Mask in this photo.
It's gotta be Detective Atmey.
So that night, you didn't go to Lordly Taylor. You went to KB Security, right? Yes. I went to KB Security at the time of the time the blackmail note said I should.
Alright, what happened next?
Well, I used to work there, so I knew where the CEO's office was. I knocked, but there was no answer. So then I used the keycard to unlock the door. That's probably when he dropped his wallet. When I went into the CEO's office, someone was in there. Someone? Then suddenly they bashed me over the head. Bam!
Was it Kane Bullard that hit you?
I don't know. The person ran away while I was still stunned. When I came to my senses, the sight I saw left me speechless. The dead body of the CEO was right there in front of me. I thought I'd die myself. Anyway, I thought I should do something with the body. So that's why you put it in the safe? Yes, that's right. I used to be the chief of one of the security teams, so I knew how to open it.
Okay, and what did you do after that?
Well, I got out of there, for starters. I was the one who set up the security cameras in that building. So I knew how to avoid being spotted by them.
Nick. All of a sudden, Mr. Delight kinda sounds like the murderer to me.
Please don't say that.
Mr. Delight, is it true that 1 year ago, you were forced to quit KB Security?
How did you... I'm begging you, please don't tell Desi. Please.
Don't worry, we haven't told anyone yet.
Thank goodness. No, I suppose I'll have to tell her sometime. She'll find out eventually.
Why have you been hiding it from her anyway?
Desi would despise me if she ever found out I was living a life of crime. A criminal, a thief. She'd never forgive me. My marriage would be over.
Knowing that, why did you become a thief in the first place?
Because Desi spends money like it's water. There's no job in the world that could bring in enough money. Except being a thief, at least. That's what I thought anyway. So he became Mask to Mask for Desiree, huh? Let's see.
The buzzer went off just once around the time that Bullard was killed.
Oh, that's scary. Do you know anything about that, Mr. Delight? Sorry, I'm afraid I don't. Why am I not surprised by how clueless he is anymore? This list. We found it in the office of the CEO, Mr. Bullard. Hey, this is the list of all the things Mask to Mask stole. And that's the value of each item listed next to them. $100,000, $150,000.
Are you sure that's the value of the stolen items?
Numbers seem a little low to me. Even on the black market, the prices should be at least 3 times higher than that. Guess he knows about that stuff because he used to be a security guard. And that's the emergency buzzer from the CEO's office. Don't press it, it makes a terrible racket.
I'm sorry, I just love making a lot of noise.
Does this buzzer have something to do with this case? Well, at this point, I don't really know yet. After all, there were no prints on it or anything else for that matter. Hey! This is an article about my debut heist! Boy, that was a tough one. Before I knew it, they were hot on my trail.
But Mask to Mask, he must have gotten away, right? It says in the article that he disappeared.
That's right. I got a sudden burst of inspiration. I hid my Mask to Mask costume in a nearby plastic bucket. And I quickly changed into my security guard uniform. Pretty clever, huh?
Wow, awesome. Hey, hold the phone. The guard in this photo. Is this you, Mr. Delight?
That's right. Nice trick if I do say so myself. Nice and easy to figure out. Even Pearls could see through that in a heartbeat. But as you might expect, Detective Atmey found the disguise. He truly deserves the title of Ace Detective. Detective Atmey found the Mask to Mask disguise. That's interesting. Yes, and I heard that he brought it home with him. So that's it. That's when Atmey got his hands on this. Thanks to that, I got the chance to remake my costume.
That must have been really time-consuming, huh?
Yes, it took quite a while to complete. Anyway, a few days after that, I received the first of the blackmail letters.
Blackmail letters?
You got them starting when? Tell me more, now! Hey, calm down. Don't get so worked up.
This blackmail letter, is this the first one you got?
No, of course not. But this is the first one that ever called me out to a specific location. So did you start receiving blackmail letters after this incident? Yes, just a few days after the Tear of Emanon heist. That first letter, it said, I know you did it.
So, someone found out about your true identity just like that?
It's not easy being a master thief, you know? I've got proof that it was you, so give up, it went on to say. So in the end, I had to give up the treasure I went through all that trouble to steal. Right. Hey, hang on a second. What do you mean you had to give it up? Oh, don't worry. After I put the jewel in the safe deposit box the letter specified, someone sent me $10,000. No one said anything about me being worried, you know. After that, I started getting the plans in the mail.
Plans?
Oh.
What are these plans you're talking about?
There are instructions on how to steal a crown, or painting, or some other rare treasures. They showed security blind spots, escape routes, and even suggested training methods.
So you mean that the one who planned the heists wasn't you?
No, it wasn't. I only planned the very first one. After that, I received plans from some very kind person. Incredibly detailed plans.
It sounds like Mr. Delight is thankful to the person that was blackmailing him.
So Ron Delight was Mask to Mask after all. But someone else is behind the thefts. Someone who planned them all out in detail. All I had to do was deposit the treasures I stole in the safe deposit box. Then I just waited for the cash to come in the mail. Try not to look so gleeful about it. He's probably having the time of his life, Phoenix.
And so, you went after the Sacred Urn because of one of those plans too?
Well, see, truth is, I've never seen the urn. All I did was follow the instructions and steal what I was told to steal. Mr. Delight, is everything you've just told me the truth? Yes, but please don't tell Desi, okay? Ron, before we go, there's one more thing I want to ask you. Yes? But please don't hurt me. Mr. Kane Bullard, do you swear that it wasn't you who killed him? Yes, of course. I could never. I'm not lying. All I did was hide his body in the safe. But then I was afraid they'd discover what I did, so I turned myself in yesterday.
Why?
Well, if the judge had ruled that I was guilty of robbery, then I'd have an alibi, right?
I guess so. You're really clever, Mr. Delight.
So I have no choice but to take Mr. Delight at his word.
Mystic Maya! Hey, Pearly. I'm back.
Hey, Pearls. So what have you been up to this whole time?
The Sacred Urn, Mr. Nick. I took it back to Kurine Village to have it examined. And? What did you find out? Well, there's no need to worry. They said it's the real urn. Phew. That's a relief. I was really worried. But there's one small problem. Problem? These cute little pink splotches. They said that it's paint, and they were put on the urn recently.
Are we talking about the pink splotches again? What's the big deal?
What's the big deal? We've got to find out how they got there. That's the big deal. Yes, Mr. Nick. We have to find out how they got there.
Okay. We'll find out how they got there. Please don't forget about me. Cool, I know where we're going next. We need to go and talk to Adrian Andrews. Not you. Gosh. How did it take them 5 games to fix the navigation? And how did they never backport it? That's the biggest issue, is that, like, they fixed the navigation in Dual Destinies and then just didn't backport it into any of the, HD remakes.
Oh, Pearl, how nice to see you. Hello there. I haven't seen you around lately. What have you been up to? Well, actually, I was having this urn examined. Oh, I see.
Maybe if we take another good look at this urn, we can figure out the mystery of what actually happened here.
Nick, let's look around one more time.
This box. There's something about it that's bothering me.
That's the box the Sacred Urn was in. Looks like there's some pink paint on it, too. It's definitely the same color as the stuff on the urn.
I know how the paint got on it now.
Alright, let's investigate again, Nick. Detective Atmey said he got hit on the back of the head with this by the thief. But that was obviously a lie. Because it turned out Atmey was the real thief. It's still hard to believe.
It's like Adrian feels really bad about it.
I'm going to take full responsibility and fix that sword myself. I know I don't look it, but I have complete confidence that I can fix it right up.
You have blacksmithing experience, Adrian?
I promise I'll fix it so you never knew it was bent in the first place. Please be gentle with it.
Looks to me like it's been dry for several days.
There's something suspicious about this paint mark. The bottom left part of it is shaped oddly, and it's shocking. It's shocking pink. Mr. Nick, could it be that this odd shape is...
Yeah. I'm pretty sure this is it.
That's the box the sacred urn was in.
Hey, look here, there's a bit of paint on the box as well.
Wow, you're right. Look, it matches. What is it, Mr. Nick?
It's all turning out exactly as I thought it would. It's all starting to become clear. We're that much closer to solving the mystery of what happened to the urn. Nope, not move. I need to present the Magatama. Miss Andrews, do you know anything about the Sacred Urn?
Do I know anything? I'm in charge of the entire treasure exhibit.
The urn that was submitted before the court today. It's obviously not the same urn as before.
Well, that's true. Maybe it isn't the same. It could be a fake.
Fake?
You're the one who said it wasn't the same. So that's the most obvious explanation. Do you have any evidence that the urn submitted at the trial was genuine?
Sorry to break it to you, but the urn is the genuine article. Girls went back to Kurain Village and had it examined.
Is that right? That's nice, but I don't see how...
What she discovered was that the urn had been broken again.
Did you say... again?
Yes, it was broken once a year ago. And now it looks like the same thing has happened. Quite recently, too.
Recently? Are you saying that this urn was broken recently?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Why do you think it was broken recently? How do you know?
Do I just send the urn again? Nope.
So, Mr. Wright?
Huh?
Why do you think it was broken recently again?
Well, because, just think so.
I'm sorry, but that's not a valid explanation.
Hunter's become the hunted. Well, it was. It was broken recently. Come on, you know it. I'm not willing to yield to you on this point.
Get a grip, please. And I'll ask you one more time, Mr. Wright. Why do you think it was broken recently? How do you know?
Oh, it's the picture, actually. Yeah. This poster. It was made recently, right?
Poster? Ah, the poster for the exhibit.
At the time when this photo was taken, the urn said I am on it. But now, for some mysterious reason, it says Atmey. When the urn was fixed, the letters were transposed.
I am? What does that even mean? I don't know anything about that. I wasn't even there for that, or when the photo for this poster was taken.
It was a mistake. Now, tell the truth.
Wait.
4?
Even if the urn was broken, I had nothing to do with it.
Huh?
Yes, that's it. He must have been one of the people at the photo shoot. He probably dropped it. I'm sure that's what happened.
Looks like she's not gonna give up that last Psyche lock so easily.
Do you have any proof that the urn was broken here at Lordly Taylor?
It has to be one of either the urn box or the paint marks. I would assume that it's the paint marks because the paint marks are here in the building. Yeah. Well, Miss Andrews?
What is this supposed to mean?
There's pink paint all over this urn. And there's pink paint all over the floor and walls of this basement warehouse. In other words, this urn was broken here. You can't weasel out of this one, Miss Andrews.
But...
Uh-oh. She's trying to make her escape.
But you can get pink paint anywhere.
Well, there's none in my office, that's for sure.
Well, there is in my room.
Liar.
Anyway, the paint on the urn and the paint on the floor. There's no proof that it's the same paint.
Come on, this is getting ridiculous. The proof linking the paint on the urn to the paint on the floor is... this box. The urn was stored in this, right?
Yes, that's right.
Well, there's pink paint on this box as well. I think you already know where I'm going with this, don't you?
Yes, more or less.
Paint on the floor has an odd shape imprinted in it, doesn't it?
Yes.
Put this box into the impression of the paint, you can see it fits perfectly. Which means this box was dropped right over there. And that is when the urn was broken.
Your name does you justice, Mr. Wright.
No, Apollo's name does him justice.
I'm so sorry. I was the one who broke the urn.
Why does this make me feel like some sort of evil school teacher?
I'm a terrible person. Not only did I break it, but I tried to hide what I did. Well, that's not so hard to understand, is it, Pearly? No, not at all. I know just how she feels. It happened about 2 weeks ago, just after the poster photo was taken, on the same day the urn arrived here. I thought I'd put it away down here for safekeeping. I was carrying it in the box when I tripped on the paint can and lost my balance. The box I was carrying crashed to the ground. I heard a terrible noise and thought my heart was going to stop. Fearing the worst, I opened the lid of the box, and that's when it happened. The broken pieces of the urn fell out of the box and landed right in the paint. I was in shock. And let out a huge scream. I can totally see how that would have happened.
Yeah, as clumsy as she is, I'm sure Maya understands.
Well, I knew it was one of the most important... I knew it was the most important treasure in all of Kurine Village. So I tried as hard as I could to fix it. Fortunately, the shards were pretty big. And that's when the I am got changed to Atmey. I didn't know how it was originally written. But any sane person fixing it would have assumed it said Atmey. Any sane person? Really?
Oh, Pearls. Honestly, more than anything else, I'm just really surprised that Pearls managed to reassemble the vase in such a way that it still looked like a vase, but had the letters completely transposed between segments. She said she wasn't very good at spelling.
Anyway, I put the urn into the storeroom, and no one had seen it since then.
I wonder if the urn in the Japanese version has like a kanji on it instead.
but there's something I don't get. When we first came here, I didn't see any paint stains. Well, that's because it was so ugly and embarrassing. I used the golden statue to cover it.
Mummy face statue. Aha! The first time that we came down here, it was on the night that the sacred urn was stolen.
But, Mr. Nick, there were no paint marks on the walls or floor of the warehouse when we were here. Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. And? I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it where you first saw it. I see. Now it makes perfect sense. But there's still one thing I find strange. What is it, Pearl? The day after the urn was stolen, we came here again. At that time, the statue had been moved and the paint was clearly visible.
It's right about that. Well, Miss Andrews?
Huh? What? I don't know anything about that. I placed it there to cover the paint, so why would I move it again? Well then, who was it? Who would have done it and why?
On the day before the theft, the statue was definitely closer to the door. The next day, it was moved. But why? Looks like there's some connection between the sacred urn and the murder case.
Why? Why do you think so, Nick?
Because that night, the real thief, Ron Delight, was at KB Security. So then why did another mask-to-mask show up here? A lot of different things are pointing to one undeniable fact.
One undeniable fact?
Murder trial is starting tomorrow, but looks like that thief is going to be making another appearance. Wow, we ended really close to that to be continued within half an hour of it. Give me just a sec. Okay.
Hey, Nick.
What is it this time?
You won't believe how many people are here for the trial.
Well, it's a murder case.
What are you talking about? They're here for the trial next door.
Next door?
Why don't you know this, Nick? They're having Detective Atmey's trial today.
Detective Atmey?
They say they're going to try him as mask-to-mask.
Already? That was fast.
Boy, I'd love to see Mask-to-Mask's trial.
I know. By the way, where's Pearls?
Oh, she went back home. She said she can't neglect her training anymore.
I know you don't like me. Pearls has really gotten into her training lately, huh?
Yeah. Ever since that incident last year.
Please, don't ignore me.
Oh, Mr. Delight. Good morning.
No one likes me. No one would notice me even if I killed someone.
Come on, don't be silly. Wait a sec.
I don't mean you're the murderer? No. I'm just a poor thief. No, wait, that's not right. A thief can't really be poor. Now, let's see. According to Mr. Delight, from his second crime on, he was following a bunch of set plans. Plans that someone had been sending to him to help him commit the heists.
Do you really think there's a connection between the thief and the murder, Nick?
It's possible, but today's trial is a race against the clock.
Huh? How come? Let's just take our time like always.
Afraid that's not an option. What is now in session for the trial of Mr. Ron Delight. The defense is ready, Your Honor. You're ready? Preparation is the last refuge of the weak. Okay, settle down, everyone. Let's begin with your opening statement, Mr. Cadeau. He's got the judge in the palm of his hand yet again. Sorry, give me a sec. Ron Delight's simply too young to be sent to war. That's all. I'm afraid I have no idea what that means. Huh. Then you need to get out more, Your Honor. Life is war. That's exactly why you must be precise in your wording. That's all my statement means. You understand now, right? Yes. Well then, let me briefly summarize the details of this case. Wow. The judge is taking charge like he knows what's going on for a change. The victim is Kane Bullard, CEO of KB Security. His body was found in a safe at approximately 9 a.m. on the morning of the 13th. However, the time of death was estimated as 1 a.m. of the previous day. And that's when our lost little kitten dropped the ball. That little lost kitten is, of course, the defendant. Very well then, Mr. Cadeau. Please call your first witness. I never drink more than 17 cups of coffee during any given trial. But the first one is always the best. Mr. Cadeau, your witness. Okay then, let's hear what the defendant, Mr. Ron Delight, has to say for himself. Defendant? Well, Mr. Wright, does the defense have any objections? It may be a bit of a disadvantage having the defendant testify, but... I remember when Mia was defending me. She allowed me to testify so she could do the cross-examination. She put a lot of trust in me back then. We have no objections, Your Honor. The defense will allow Mr. Delight to testify. You've got guts, Trite. Alright then, Mr. Ron Delight, please take the stand. You did it, didn't you?
Yes.
What?
No. That's not true.
For a moment there, I thought we'd set a record for the shortest trial ever.
Well, Mr. Delight already looks plenty guilty with the face he's making.
Once he opens his big mouth, he'll probably put the last nail in his own coffin. Huh. Very well. Now then, can you tell me something? If you didn't kill Bullard, why did you go to KB Security?
Well, It's kind of hard to say. Boy, I wish I could go home.
Now then, let's hear some testimony about what happened. Ugh. Sorry about that. That evening, around 1 a.m., I went to see Mr. Bullard in his office at KB Security. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. I'd been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was. Very succinct. 1 a.m. Exact time the murder took place. The weak get washed away by the tides of fate. The strong drink it up. Huh. It's bitter today too, just like my destiny.
You'd never know that from the way he's chugging it down.
Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please. That evening, around 1 a.m., I went to see Mr. Bullard in his office at KB Security. 1 a.m., huh? You're absolutely sure about that? Yes, that's what my watch said when I was entering the CEO's office. No. Actually, I'm not really sure. My watch was slow and my internal clock was also a bit... 1 a.m.? That's the exact time the victim, Mr. Bullard, was murdered, correct? It's too late for a coffee date, that's for sure. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. It ordered you there? It was the first time I'd gotten a blackmail letter that ordered me to go somewhere. Does that mean you've got another blackmail letters then? No, of course. They'd say things like, steal this or take that. Why don't you save those for later, Mr. Delight? Please don't say any more. Now then, what should I do? So what did the blackmail letter in question say? It said bring $50,000. Money, eh? Perfect motive for committing murder. Oh, but wait! I never intended to pay that money anyway. Oh, is that right? After all, he had nothing to hold over my head. I had nothing to be afraid of. An important point indeed. Witness, let's have that added to your testimony. Yes, sir. Muddy Mud Skipper in outer space has a better chance of surviving than I do. The blackmail threat didn't scare me. It wasn't gonna cause me trouble or anything. Just what were you being blackmailed about anyway? Blackmail letter said, you don't want your identity revealed, correct? I'm sure it was referring to the whole mask-to-mask thing. But I wasn't worried. Mr. Bullard didn't have anything on me. Didn't? Anyway, I don't care what anyone says about me. Just as long as Desi believes in me. So that's why Miss Delight didn't believe he was mask-to-mask. This is why I knew they were just hollow threats. I'd been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was. You used to be security chief for KB Security, right? Yes, that's right. Security chief? You? And yet, a year ago, you fired without notice. Revenge for an old grudge? Perfect motive for murder, wouldn't you say? You You have to pick one, Godot. You can't have both. This isn't good. Maybe I should change the subject? Mr. Delight, please tell us why you were fired from your job.
Well...
The world's filled with those who have said. I wish I had never asked that. Okay, then I take it back. Defendant, please answer the question.
I needed money.
You needed money.
Well, you see, Desi loves to spend it. It's kind of her hobby. Not exactly the best hobby in the world, huh, Nick? My salary wasn't nearly enough, so I stole data from the company.
Come again?
KB Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies. And since I was a security team chief,
you stole some data and sold it.
But Mr. Bullard found out, and I was fired immediately.
What?
I wish I'd never asked that. I was somehow able to keep it a secret. I made it seem like I'd quit on my own. What is it, Nick? You don't look so good.
Someone who brings harm to their company is fired as punishment. You do well to remember that.
He sure told you.
So, you admit that you stole data from your company, is that correct?
Yes. I'm sorry.
This is a very important fact. Please add it to your testimony.
Oh man, this whole thing just took a big turn for the worse. Crashed and blew up. It's gonna take the jaws of life to rip this case from the clutches of disaster. He fired me for selling company secrets, but Desi doesn't know about that.
Why would you do something like that?
Well, for Desi's hobby, what else?
Wasting money, huh?
It's not a waste! So, Miss Delight doesn't know that her husband was fired, does she?
So it would seem.
I'm not sure what to think about couples who keep secrets like that from each other.
Can't believe it. This case has gotten even Maya to think seriously about couples. Please, try to stay focused, Mr. Wright.
There wasn't much to his testimony, was there?
Sounds like he's avoiding something. At least that's what it sounds to me.
Uh-oh, I got a bad feeling about this. We'd better be careful.
Don't find a way to make him spill the beans. We'll never get closer to the truth.
Yeah.
Let's see. Isn't gonna cause me trouble or anything? I kind of feel like Desiree would contradict this. Yeah. Mr. Delight, what you just said now doesn't match what you told me yesterday.
Huh? What doesn't?
I think you must have been scared. Very scared. Of having a certain person find out your secret. A certain person? Miss Desiree Delight, the defendant's wife.
What? But I... Listen to me. My Desi, she's...
Looks like if I just sit back and relax, the fun will end before it truly begins.
Gateau.
Yes, we know. It's all your wife's fault. What do you mean? Mr. Delight stole company data to pay for his wife's spending habit, for which he was fired. Unable to face his own wife, someone used his dirty little secret to blackmail him. And that's how this murder came about.
Oh. No. Everything's falling neatly into place for him.
Also, that was Ron's voice, more like, Don't talk about my Desi like that. You'll be sorry. Well, it seems that we've learned a great deal of things here so far.
What do you think, Nick?
I didn't think it was possible to get so thoroughly whipped in just 20 minutes. Clearly there was sufficient motive for murder. He stole data for his wife, and he killed to protect his secret. Family man who cared just a little too much. The motive is clear. Let's move on. What happened to the crime scene at 1 in the morning, Mr. Delight? Come on now, tell us. We're all ears. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. Suddenly, I was hit on the forehead. After that, I remember being a bit dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. When I came to, Mr. Bullard was lying there, dead. I see. Suddenly hit on the forehead, huh? I believe the detective from yesterday provided a similar testimony. He said that a mask struck him on the head from behind. Of course, since Atmey turned out to be the culprit himself, that was all a lie. Huh. No one's going to believe a pathetic lie like that. What are you saying? I really was attacked. We'll find out what you say is true or not during the cross-examination. Got that, Mr. Wright? Don't go easy just because he's your client. I'm losing Godot's voice. If I see any sign that you are, I'll treat you to another cup of my special blend. You don't need to worry about that, Mr. Godot. I have faith in Ron. I know he didn't do it. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. Who was this suspicious shadow? If there were 1,000 of me, and even one knew, I'd tell you, trust me.
His dodging all of our questions is not helping us win this case.
Okay then, how was the victim, Mr. Bullard, at the time? What do you mean, by how was he? Was he already dead? Is he still alive? Maybe he was the one who hit you in the first place. That's a good question. What do you think, Mr. Wright? Forget it. And suddenly I was hit on the forehead. After that, I remember being a bit dazed. Your forehead? Yes, I was hit on the forehead as soon as I entered the room. It was an amazingly fast and powerful attack. Do you remember anything about who hit you? Well, like I said, it was fast and powerful hit. So I think I was a little dazed for a while.
I don't think Mr. Delight even grasped what you were asking.
Yeah, I'd like to show him a fast and powerful attack myself. Maybe that would knock some sense back into him. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. That? Could you please clarify what you're referring to? Why, my Mask to Mask costume, of course. Wait just a moment. Mask to Mask? Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? Just to be on the safe side, I dressed as Mask to Mask. And then I descended upon the office of the CEO of KB Security. What?
Nick, did you know about this? He never told me this.
I don't recall him ever mentioning it to me either. I didn't know. Even I didn't know that. Seems our little friend really loves to keep secrets. I'm sorry. I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. Wait. That's not right. You know how sometimes things just slip your mind? My 6th cup of coffee is staring up at me coldly. At any rate, we can't ignore this new piece of information. Witness, please correct your testimony.
I'd have been killed if I hadn't been wearing my mask-to-mask costume.
Why were you dressed up as Mask to Mask?
Why, because I'm mask-to-mask, of course.
What are you talking about? Mask to Mask's trial is being held next door.
Yes, I guess so. Anyway, at that time, I thought I was being blackmailed over the mask-to-mask issue. And so I thought I should go as him, just to be safe.
Oh boy.
Let me tell you, it's a real pain to move around with that cape. That's why it took a lot longer than I'd expected.
It took a lot longer? What is he talking about?
What do you mean by took a lot longer? Oh, opening the safe, of course. My cape got caught on the safe door, you see. This all happened when I was hiding at Mr. Bullard's body.
What was that? Back up a second.
Yes?
You're the one that hid the body in the safe?
Well, yeah.
Inconceivable! Why? Just why? What reason could you have? What were you thinking?
Question. When does someone toss their dirty shorts in the washing machine?
What?
The answer's simple. When they take them off.
As usual, I have no idea what you're saying.
Do you mean that Mr. Delight hid the body because he's the murderer?
So you're not as stupid as you look.
His metaphor this time was really obscure.
Mr. Wright, you don't mean that you knew about this whole safe business, do you?
Well, yes.
Why am I the only one not in the loop here? Witness, make sure you add this to the testimony.
Yes, sir.
Uh-oh.
It's like a storm front is moving in over the fair weather judge. I panicked and hid the body in the safe. It took about 10 minutes. Why did you hide the body in the safe anyway? Well, because it wouldn't fit in a drawer. That's not exactly what I meant. When I saw that corpse, I kinda lost it. I thought, if they find his corpse, they'll think I did it.
I think you had a simpler reason than that. It's because you killed him. That's why you spent 10 minutes hiding the body. That certainly makes more sense.
Hold on. 10 minutes? What is it, Nick? I just had a thought. Under those circumstances, wouldn't you normally try to hide the body? Or, wait, what did that say? Under those circumstances, would you normally try to hide the body and spend 10 whole minutes to do it? Under those circumstances? What circumstances? Oh! Hey, Nick, if you think his behavior was so strange, why don't you present some evidence that would show just what those circumstances were? That's it. I'll take a look at the court record and present some evidence. We heard this from Mr. Delight yesterday, didn't we? Not much in this testimony either. I bet you he's still hiding something. I wouldn't be surprised. We'll just have to draw it out of him. I just hope he doesn't make things any more complicated. I don't know if it's the buzzer record or the office buzzer. Objection! I bet either one of them would have worked there. Your Honor, could you please take a look at this record?
And what might this be?
Record for the emergency buzzer that connects it to that connects the CEO's office to security.
if the button in the office is pressed, a security team is supposed to come running. And according to this record, the buzzer was pushed once at 1:02 a.m. What? If Mr. Rondelite truly was the murderer, he would have ran as soon as that buzzer sounded. After all, a security guard would have been heading his way.
Objection!
Let's remember who we're dealing with here. He probably had no idea there were security personnel in the building. Up until 1 year ago, my client was working as chief of security. There's no way he wouldn't have known about them.
Objection!
But, as it turns out, the guard never came. That was nothing more than a coincidence. The fact that the guard was a pathetic loser, he'd just gotten punched in the face by his ex's new boyfriend, and wasn't anywhere in the vicinity was not something Mr. Delight could have known.
Objection!
Again, remember who we're dealing with here. It's a sure bet that Mr. Delight didn't even notice the buzzer going off. This buzzer is extremely loud. There's no way he could have ignored something like that. If he had been conscious, that is. Conscious? What do you mean by that? Ugh. Fine. Let's hear your theory. Recall the defendant's testimony. The moment he entered the victim's office, someone attacked him. Mr. Delight said he felt dazed. I'm willing to wager that he was knocked unconscious for at least a few minutes. Unconscious? So he fainted. That's why Mr. Delight didn't know that the buzzer had sounded. And that's why he thought he had time to hide the body. So what are you trying to say? Mr. Delight was knocked out, and the buzzer went off soon afterward. Now, unless my client was able to hit the buzzer while he was unconscious, that can only mean there was another person in the room. That's right. Whoever it was, they knocked out Rondelite, then pressed the buzzer. Order in the court. Mr. Wright, this is...
Objection!
This is preposterous. It was this kid. Rondelite. Rondelite is the one who killed Kane Bullard. Then who pressed the buzzer? It was... the victim, of course. He pressed the buzzer when the defendant attacked him. He didn't die right away. Must have held on long enough to push that button. So Kane Bullard sounded the buzzer himself. What is your opinion on this, Mr. Wright? I need to prove that the real criminal was there at the scene, but how? Can I prove that it wasn't Kane Bullard who sounded the buzzer? The buzzer didn't have fingerprints on it. The defense's opinion is this, Your Honor. This piece of evidence proves that it wasn't the victim who sounded the buzzer. I believe this is the piece of incontrovertible evidence you were looking for. The emergency buzzer? Is there some kind of clue on it? Absolutely not. Hey, come on now. At least give some thought to what you say before... At least give some thought to what you say before opening your mouth. The fact that there are absolutely no clues is itself the clue. Now I'm the one who's clueless. This button has no fingerprints on it. If Mr. Bullard had recently pressed it himself, naturally, he would have left his fingerprints behind.
Objection!
Rondelite obviously wiped them off. Why would he? A guard could have come in at any moment. He touched that button, I know he did. The defendant, Mr. Delight, was dressed as Mask to Mask. And Mask to Mask always wears gloves. What reason could he possibly have had to wipe the button free of fingerprints? Order, order, order. It would seem. I've been forced to eat crow.
I wonder what blend number crow-flavored coffee is.
However, if the real killer was there at the scene, why would the person press the emergency buzzer? Shouldn't they have run away without putting themselves in extra danger? What is with this awkward silence all of a sudden? Huh. Looks like you're fresh out of parlor tricks.
They're on to you, Nick.
Just give me a minute to collect my thoughts. The real culprit killed Mr. Bullard at around 1 a.m.
And Mr. Delight just happened to waltz in when the murder was taking place, right?
The killer clobbered Mr. Delight, and then sounded the buzzer.
Even though security was supposed to respond right away if the buzzer was pressed.
Security was supposed to respond? Time's up, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you have to say. Very well, then. You got some guts. I like that in an opponent. Why did the real killer sound the emergency buzzer? The killer knew that if they pressed that button, a security guard would come running. And that was exactly what they wanted. You mean to say the killer called the guard on purpose? Yes. Although, as it turned out, he never showed up.
Because he was getting his clock cleaned at the time.
Huh. What a touching story. You're saying the killer had a change of heart and called the guard to turn himself in? No, I'm not. When that buzzer sounded, there were 3 people in that office. The victim, Kane Bullard, who was already dead. Defendant, Ron Delight, who was out cold. And the third person, the real killer. Hypothetically, yes. Now then, in this situation, if the real killer made an escape, what would happen? The only ones left in the room would be the victim and Ron Delight. And if any security guards came running in at that time, they'd think that I was the murderer. Yes, that was precisely the real killer's objective. To frame Ron Delight for the murder. Order, order, order. It would seem. I've made to eat my words once again.
Actually, you've been made to do a spit take. With a cup of coffee.
Mr. Wright, who was it? Who was it that tried to frame me? Wait. Wait a second. I'm the one and only Mask to Mask, so...
Nick, you mean the real killer is...
I'm going to drag that person in here right now.
But who is it?
I don't have any solid proof yet, but think about it. The killer knew Mr. Delight's identity, and they also knew that he had been called to KB security that night. So the killer used him to craft to execute a well-crafted plan to murder Kane Bullard. Now then, let's hear your accusation, Mr. Wright. Who was it that framed Mr. Ron Delight for the murder of Kane Bullard?
Take that!
Detective Luke Atmey. He's the only one who could have done it. Face detective. Luke Atmey? I mean, mask to mask, did it? Your Honor, the person being tried in the court next to us is not mask to mask at all. He is, in actuality, the true murderer of Kane Bullard. Order, order! Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Theft and murder. Which is the more serious crime? They're not even close. Murder is the more serious crime, of course. It's a capital crime subject to capital punishment. Please remember the trial from yesterday, if you would. When Luke Atmey confessed, there was a huge commotion in the courtroom. Of course, the famous detective was unmasked as, well, as mask to mask. Instead of being convicted of murder, he was found guilty of grand larceny. That was his true objective all along. To be found guilty, Mask to Mask had the perfect alibi for when the murder took place. He was stealing the urn at Lordly Taylor. In other words, being found guilty as Mask to Mask was Luke Atmey's airtight, watertight, and unassailable alibi. Guilty verdict as an alibi? You know, it's almost time. For what? Not quite here. For Luke Atmey's verdict. It was a pretty simple trial, after all. If we're going to gosh. If we're going to stop this trial and stall that one, we need to do it now. Of course. That's assuming you have proof that the detective was the one who committed the murder. Mr. Luke Atmey's trial has indeed attracted the attention of the entire country. If we were to intrude and fail to provide adequate proof of his true crime, Mr. Delight would be left with no grounds for appeal. Are you really sure about this? Huh. That's only good when your wife's the ante.
Mr. Wright, I believe in you.
Mr. Delight.
So, please, I'm begging you.
Thanks, but my decision will determine the rest of your life. Can I really risk your life like this?
Phoenix.
What was that?
Don't stray, Phoenix. For your client, take the path of trust.
That voice. It sounded like... Mia? Your Honor, the defense requests an immediate recess. So that's your answer, huh? Very well. I've decided as well. This court will now take a 20-minute recess. Mr. Wright, when we return, please summon Mr. Luke Atmey to the stand.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, Sir Detective Atmey?
I have to say, Mr. Payne, you performed splendidly.
Oh no, Sir Detective Atmey. You are the one who...
That's enough. Court sees no reason to further prolong this trial. This court finds the defendant, Luke Atmey.
Hold it!
Wait. Don't hand down your verdict yet, please. Well, well, Sir Lawyer. Welcome to my courtroom. Oh yeah, Canadian judge. I forgot this dude's Canadian. Who's this hoser, eh? My name is Phoenix Wright, attorney at law. And I wish to file an accusation against this man, Luke Atmey.
Accusation? You accuse Mask to Mask.
That man is not Mask to Mask. He's just a ruthless murderer. What?
My sis.
I'd have sworn I heard Mia's voice.
So then, she's still alive, inside your heart. Nicky boy.
Oh, Mr. Light.
Is it true the detective is the real killer?
To be honest, we don't have any definite proof. But he's the only one who could have done it.
But wasn't he at Lordly Taylor that night? Not to mention, we don't exactly know his motive. I mean, why would Detective Atmey want to kill Kane Bullard?
Oops, it's almost time. Better get back to the courtroom. To find some solid proof. And it's gotta happen sooner rather than later. Now then, this court is back in session. Mr. Luke Atmey, please take the stand. Well, well, how do you do, sir lawyer? I never would have thought to see you acting so recklessly. I couldn't let them hand down your verdict just yet. Not when it would have given you your perfect alibi. An alibi by the name of Mask to Mask. I'm sorry. I'm afraid the great Luke Atmey has no idea what you mean. Of course, I've been in the next courtroom ever since 10 o'clock this morning. I'm afraid there's no way I could know what's been going on in here. Been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Mask to Mask. Indeed, it's truly a child's play to fool the ignorant masses. Not only did the poor fools ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning their own property to them. Take this red diamond ring that sparkles upon my divine finger, for example. So you continue to insist that you are, in fact, Mask to Mask. Of course. Very well then, Luke Atmey, let us begin with this simple question. On October 12th at 1 AM, Kane Bullard was murdered. Where were you at that time? One without knowledge lacks even the knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself. But don't worry, I will not hold it against you, Sir Judge. Thanks. Alright, Mr. Atmey. The time of the murder, or the night of the murder. Speak. We're all ears. As you wish, Sir Prosecutor. I was stealing the urn as Mask to Mask, just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. The time at which the camera captured Mask to Mask was the same time as the murder. It seems the main point of discussion will be this photo of the... It seems the main point of discussion will be this photo of the crime scene. Everything else up until now was all part of his plan. There has to be a secret to this picture as well. Even the great Mask Damask cannot be in two places at once. Now then, if you'll excuse me, I have a verdict to resolve. Unfortunately, Mr. Atmey, we still have to do your cross-examination. A fool is too foolish to know that he is a fool.
I think he's trying to say that you're full of it, Nick.
The only thing that's full of it is his alibi. I was stealing the urn as Mask Damask, just as I announced I would. So this photograph is the proof, correct? Indeed it is. And the man in this photo is certainly wearing a mask. That is why I'm called Mask Damask. But conveniently, that also means there's no way to tell who this really is. What do you mean?
Objection!
Huh. You're saying this is not, in fact, Luke Atmey. That it could be an accomplice dressed up as Mask Damask to create an alibi. Oh, what an interesting idea. Are you saying that I, Lone Wolf Luke, had an accomplice? If Luke Atmey was at KB Security during the murder, then the Mask Damask in this picture has to be a fake.
Then there really was an accomplice.
But right now, I have no idea who it was.
I don't have any idea right now either.
Basil's objections are just what that guy wants. There's gotta be another way, and I'm going to find it. I had more than enough time to prepare. Wow. It was a pathetically easy job. I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point. That's right. That was over 20 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. You sent the calling card to Lordly Taylor 10 days before the heist. That would mean you sent out the card after you began your security watch, right? Indeed. There was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my latest target. I see. You truly are evil, aren't you? Yes, evil is what I am.
Hey, Nick, isn't there something odd about this? Detective Atmey was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if the urn was stolen from Lordly Taylor while he was the only one watching it, he'd have no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona.
No, that's true. It's kind of odd. The photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. So by photograph, you mean this piece of evidence here, is that correct? Indeed it is. That's it. The very thing that proves I committed the crime. The very thing that proves you committed the crime? You think about it, it's really odd. You say that almost as if you had this picture taken on purpose.
Objection!
It was simply caught by the very camera that he had set up. We all have days like that. Indeed, it turned out that there was no such thing as a perfect crime after all. Life is truly an ironic thing. A sad, blue melody. It's like I'd better gather information for now. If he's truly the killer, there's gotta be something phony in that photo. The time at which the camera captured Mask Damask was the same time as the murder. About the camera that took this photograph. Oh, come now. It's all too clear what you're thinking. Huh? You think I altered the timestamp on the photograph, don't you? I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lordly Taylor, and on top of that, there's Lordly Taylor's staff that printed that picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, There's no way that picture could have been altered. I see. Looks like I'd better find something else that could be suspicious.
And so, this alibi is false?
It has to be, or he couldn't have killed Mr. Bullard at KB Security.
But I'm not really spotting anything unusual.
There are two possibilities. Either the mask-to-mask in the photo is a fake, or the photo itself is. Let's see. Confidence save. It's either just presenting the photo here or throwing the Atmey face statue, because the statue was, should have been in that position. Like, should have been over the paint splotch there. I think. More than enough time to prepare. It's a pathetically easy job. Photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. Time at which the camera captured mask to mask was the same time as the murder. I genuinely don't know what to present here. Okay, question.
Objection!
Mask to mask in this picture has to be a fake. Exactly, you had an accomplice. Now you remember you've said that, Mr. Wright. There's no going back. If you're making baseless claims, I'll treat you to a penalty myself.
That penalty is probably boiling hot, too.
But who is it, Mr. Wright? Who is the accomplice?
Take that!
It was this person? Ah, that's quite the prank you're trying to pull. You have any evidence that this person is in fact the accomplice?
Well,
The aura that this person has around them is... Going to judge someone based on their aura? Be right up there as the #1 suspect, Mr. Wright. Jump the gun on that one.
Objection!
Nope.
Objection!
Nope. How... Am I skipping some part here? Time at which the camera captured Mask to Mask was the same time as the murder.
Objection!
I'm gonna rewind my save when I get down to 1 HP.
Objection!
Come on, really?
Hold it!
Adrian Andrews hired you. Yep. Reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my latest target. More than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. Is it gonna be some shit like present the picture on this to show that it could have been 1:58 a.m. or 12:58 a.m. on a different day?
Objection!
No. More than enough time to prepare.
Objection!
What? The first 3 Ace Attorney games have some very, like, difficult sections in them. There's no... Ugh. Photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. What? More than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. 20 days ago. There's something odd about that. Detective Atmey was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if the urn was stolen from Lordly Taylor while he was the only one watching it, he'd have no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona. It's true, it's kind of odd.
Objection!
I genuinely don't see anything here. Huh. photograph? You mean this? Indeed it is, that's it. Very thing that I proved. Oh wait, is this new dialogue? That's it. The very thing that proves I committed the crime. Very thing. Proves you committed the crime? Surely even you understand by now. Lordly Taylor provided that camera. There's no way I could have tampered with it. That means I could not have killed Kane Bullard, unless I had an accomplice. Come on, think long and hard about that night. Basement warehouse, and this picture that supposedly captures it. It's gotta be here. Isn't there something funny about this picture? That's so fucking dumb. Did I have to, like, press on statement 4 to get access to statement 3? Like, to get access to its expanded stuff? Are you implying that picture is a fake? I bet I am. There's definitely something strange about this picture. We took a look around at the basement warehouse that night before the theft took place. There's something in that photo that doesn't match my memory of that night. Very well. Let's hear what you have to say. What this photograph do you find funny?
Take that!
Funny part is right here. Why this? This is a blood stain. Ah, blood. Now this case is getting interesting. Not exactly. That stain is actually pink paint. Oh, just paint. And peach colored at that. Blood to peaches. Judge sure loves going on his wild tangents. Problem with this photograph is not the paint. The problem is when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse. It turns out that something should be there. Something that should be there is nowhere to be seen. Well, Mr. Wright, what is supposed to be in this picture instead of the paint stains?
Take that!
The supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following.
Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain trading hall. I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it where you first saw it.
I myself was there the night the theft took place and saw the statue in that spot. If this picture was truly taken on that night, then the statue should have been there.
Objection!
But when I went there the day after the theft, that statue of the old bag was sitting in the corner. Perhaps it was somehow pushed there accidentally. Your Honor, this statue is slightly larger than yourself and quite heavy. It would take more than an accidental push to move it that distance. In that case, can you prove it? Can you give us the rhyme and reason as to why that statue was moved that night? Confidence save.
Can you do it, Nick?
Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it? Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you're prepared with your answer. Now then, who was the one that moved the golden statue on the night of the crime?
Take that!
The one who moved the statue is none other than Luke Atmey. Come now, Sir Lawyer. There you go again on one of your strange delusions. Mr. Wright, what basis do you have for your strange delusions? It's very simple. The witness was the only one in the basement warehouse that night. That indeed is very simple. However, why would I want to move a heavy golden statue? The reason for moving the golden statue. Here's where our battle really begins. Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move that statue? Reason can be found here in this photograph. Luke Atmey, you pretended to be Mask to Mask to create an alibi by showing you were at Lordly Taylor that night. But this photograph contains a single, fatal flaw. If the statue had been there, your lie would be exposed like the cheap film at a drugstore. That's why you just had to move the statue. Single fatal flaw? Interesting theory. Please enlighten us. Just where in this picture does this lie exist? I assume that it's the timestamp. Because I assume that this was taken on a different day.
Take that!
Naturally, the lie in this photo is the timestamp. What do you mean? I'll tell you exactly what I mean. On the night in question, Luke Atmey went to KB Security and murdered Kane Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious. It would have been impossible for him to have been at Lordly Taylor at this time. What does that have to do with the statue being moved? Remember, if you will, Your Honor. When was this statue placed beside the warehouse door? Well, the statue was taken down to the warehouse on the day of the crime. It was placed there in order to cover up the paint. Exactly. Luke Atmey had already decided on the time when he was going to kill the victim. And so, in order to create an alibi for that time, he took this picture days before the murder took place. What the? Of course, the statue hadn't yet been brought down to the basement warehouse yet. Ah. So, on the day of the crime, Mr. Atmey must have been quite nervous. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there had been brought down and placed where it wasn't supposed to be. And that is why Luke Atmey had to move the statue on the night of the murder. He did it to make the room match with the way he had it in his photo. Ugh. Order, order. Mr. Atmey, is that true? One moment, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this? What's that? The data for the basement warehouse computer. According to this, the camera did indeed go off the night of the crime.
Objection!
It's true that the camera had been set up by the Lordly Taylor staff. However, the program used to manage that data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with the data. Order, order. Mr. Godot, what is the meaning of this? Godot, I warned you about making me wait. Now put that coffee down. My 11th cup. I promised to drink no more than 17 during a trial. Which means I'm still good to the last drop. However, the defense has a very good point. A good point? So what? We're all but travelers on a road of infinite points.
I think he's gotten his points mixed up with his other points.
So you say this photograph was taken ahead of time, and that the statue was moved in order to make it match. That's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that can't be denied. Which is? That's only a possibility. Men that are trapped by the chains of maybe can never reach their dream. I think... Okay, I wanted to say this yesterday, but I couldn't remember. But I actually, in my high school yearbook, I actually used a quote from Godot as my senior quote, because I was very, very much into Ace Attorney at the time. And I think it was that quote. I think it was that quote right there. I haven't checked my yearbook, and I genuinely don't remember what quote I used, but I think it's that quote. I'll have to double check that at some point. That's very true. No, wait, don't fall for that, Your Honor. Hey, Mr. Damask.
Yes?
If there's no funny business in your actions as Mask Damask, there should be no problem with you telling us your strategy. So let's hear it. Yes, please provide this court with your testimony about your plan to steal the sacred urn.
I first received the request from Lordly Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box, and a Zavari, that it was then sent into the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. Then I handled security by myself, to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th.
That's pretty much all the stuff we've heard before, isn't it?
Yeah. Will we find the truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gives? But we will find the truth. Goodness, you're sure you're making no mistakes this time?
Zavari.
Very well then. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. So, okay. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn myself on the day of the crime. Which shouldn't... I might be mistaken, but that doesn't... Because it says that it's speckled. But if he didn't see it before the day of the crime, he wouldn't have known it was speckled to send the calling card for it. Because it would have still been the cracked up version of it, right? Like, I'm not imagining that. Yeah. Mr. Atmey, if you really are Mask Damask, then you also wrote this calling card, correct?
But of course.
Is there a problem with that calling card? Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Mask Damask had written. Take good care of that speckled urn. Now, the speckled here surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn. Yes, that is true. But so what? Truth be told, there's no way that Mask Damask could have known about this pattern.
What do you mean?
This pink spotted pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains. Paint stains? And these stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lordly Taylor. I'm finding this joke very funny, Mr. Trite. The day that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, the urn was broken due to human error. Should I say an error-prone human? That's when the pink paint got on the urn. Ugh. You can't be serious. And yet this calling card clearly mentions the paint pattern. Which means Detective Atmey had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when this fake photo was taken. And because this photo is a fake, your alibi for the night of the murder no longer holds water. Witness, have anything to say for yourself? Alright, that did it. He's broken.
Nick, I think it's still a little early for a victory pose.
Huh? Huh. So sad. Steve Jobs died of ligma. No one has any conviction these days. Conviction, you say? Yesterday, we all decided unanimously that this man was Mask to Mask. Now we're calling him a murderer. You don't think we're being a tad fickle? That's a good point. No, wait, don't fall for that too, Your Honor. You say that Luke Atmey was the one who killed Kane Bullard. Let me ask you this. Why would he do that?
An excellent point. Motive, Mr. Wright, motive. Might you, my merry murderous motive manifest? Nick, he's getting his second wind.
He prepared an alibi and pinned his crime on Ron Delight, as you say. He must have had a very strong motive for murder. The only one with any motive we've seen is Ron Delight. Isn't that right, Detective?
Indeed. According to my own research, the boy's motive is clear.
Without a motive, it's nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us as to what the defendant's motives were.
I'd be honored to, Sir Old-Timer.
Doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious. Despite our lack of hard information, this may be our only chance.
I, Luke Atmey, had no points of contact with the victim whatsoever. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Mask to Mask and simply mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight. And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is Mask to Mask. That is why Mr. Delight saw it fit to kill Kane Bullard. Truly a tragedy.
Victim, Kane Bullard, blackmailed the defendant. This is the blackmail letter found in the defendant's apartment. Handwritten test confirmed that Mr. Bullard was indeed the one who wrote that letter.
What?
Very well, Mr. Wright. Begin your cross-examination.
I, Luke Atmey, had no points of contact with the victim whatsoever.
And who in the world is going to prove that? I will. After doing a thorough background check of Detective Atmey and Kane Bullard, we were unable to find any links between them. It's all in the report. Perhaps they were connected through their work. They're both involved in security. Nope. That was blunt.
In any case, the only one with a motive was Mr. Delight. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Mask to Mask, and simply mistook who he was.
Mistook?
That's right, mistook, from the Old Norse mistaka, meaning to take in error.
That wasn't what I meant. So did the victim mistake Mask to Mask to be?
Why, the answer is obvious. Ron Delight, of course.
Boy, I'd like to wipe that smug look off this guy's face. Why would the victim mistake the defendant for Mask to Mask?
Don't you already know that? Zavari, take a look at this newspaper.
Oh, that's the famous Tear of Emanon, a magnificent jewel.
That photo shows a magnificent detective as well, does it not? Furthermore, it also shows an ugly guard, namely the defendant.
Defendant?
The victim clearly misread this article, and Zavari. He got the wrong impression. The impression
that this ugly security guard was in fact Mask to Mask. I see.
That was an unusually reasonable deduction.
It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight.
Hold it!
You mean this blackmail letter right here? It says, bring $50,000. Handwriting is without a doubt the victim's. There's no mistake. We have an official report to prove it. But I don't see an addressee on this letter anywhere. Addressee. This letter was discovered in Ron Delight's apartment. Mr. Delight did show up at the designated place and time. The fact that there's no addressee is irrelevant. I wonder.
What's up, Nick?
I just had a thought. What if that blackmail letter wasn't meant for Mr. Delight?
Whoa, do you have any evidence of that?
For some reason, I just can't shake the feeling that there's something not quite right about this blackmail letter. Well, everyone, are you quite satisfied? And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. If you don't, I'll take that red diamond you received the other day instead. Because the only diamond that Ron stole was the Tear of Emanon, which is blue. And Luke Atmey happens to have a red diamond on a ring. I'm gonna make a confidence save because I'm very confident in my answer.
Objection!
Mind if I ask you a few questions, Detective Atmey? Well, if it's just a few, I guess it's all right. When you said that this letter was addressed to Ron Delight, I couldn't help but notice one major contradiction. Contradiction? I don't know where a wonking contradiction like you gets off saying things like that. You're one to talk. At times like these, men are made to express themselves with their fists. Why don't you show us what you've got there, Junior? Indeed. I'm to man up, Mr. Wright. What was the contradicting evidence in the content of the blackmail letter? It's the newspaper, right? So the newspaper has the picture of the Tear of Emanon.
Take that!
Take a good look at this newspaper clipping. It contains a picture of the Tear of Emanon, the stolen jewel. What about it? The problem is this jewel's color. Color? I'm not much... Wow. My voice is getting hoarse. I'm not much for discussing color myself. According to the clipping, the color of the stolen jewel was blue. However, in the blackmail letter, a totally different jewel is mentioned. I'll take that red diamond you received the other day. Red. Which means the red diamond described in the blackmail letter is not the Tear of Emanon that Mask to Mask stole at all.
Objection!
Your point is, Mr. Trite, you're trying to say that this blackmail letter was intended for someone else. That's what you're trying to say? Right, Trite? That is what you're trying to say, right, Mr. Wright?
Well, that is what you're trying to say, right, Nick?
Yes. This is who Kane Bullard was actually blackmailing.
Take that!
Naturally, it was you, Detective Atmey. Do you have some sort of basis for that claim? You've been personally involved in every single mask-to-mask case. And in the last case, you recovered what was stolen. And received a jewel as your reward. A jewel? Probably the one wrapped conspicuously around your finger. That red diamond ring. That is the diamond that's referred to in the letter. Which means that Kane Bullard wrote that letter in order to blackmail you. Order in the court. Order, I say. It seems you've gone too far with your childish pranks, Mr. Wright. Uh-oh. I don't like the way he said that. Kane Bullard blackmailing Luke Atmey? You for real? Yes, I am.
Nick, come on, stand up to him.
Then answer me this. The blackmail letter contains the following passage. You don't want your identity revealed to the world. Yes, it certainly does. Kane Bullard threatened to make Atmey's identity public knowledge. An identity he wanted to keep secret. So just what was that identity? Atmey killed Kane Bullard because he was afraid of his secret becoming known. What was the identity he wanted to keep secret?
This is all what it comes down to, Nick.
The identity that Luke Atmey wanted so desperately to keep his secret, or wanted to so desperately keep secret was his identity as a blackmailer. Luke Atmey was a blackmailer.
Objection!
Hey now, isn't that a little different from what you've been saying? You said that Kane Bullard was the one blackmailing Luke Atmey. You saying that Atmey was blackmailing someone else on top of that?
You have to admit, that does sound a little odd.
It's not odd. The only thing that makes any sense. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atmey. But Ron DeLite was also being blackmailed by a certain someone. So did you start receiving blackmail letters after this incident? Yes, just a few days after the Tear of Emanon heist. After that, I started getting the plans in the mail. I received plans from some very kind person. Incredibly detailed plans. Detailed plans? Which case, that would mean that Ron DeLite was actually Mask to Mask. That is what we're claiming. Someone else came up with the plans, and had Mr. DeLite steal his targets for him. And that someone was none other than Luke Atmey. Shh, silence! Now I see. It's all becoming clear. What is? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Careless, with the tendency to jump to conclusions. Am I wrong? How did you? You say that I, Luke Atmey, was blackmailing Ron DeLite. In which case, I would naturally know all about his relation to Mask. Well, yes. Ron DeLite started receiving plans from his second crime onward, correct? Which means, I learned of his identity when he committed that first crime. Good point. Certainly couldn't have blackmailed him otherwise. In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first crime, how did Luke Atmey know that Ron DeLite was Mask to Mask? It's the picture, right? Oh, not that one. Oh no, it's the news clipping. No, wait. It's right in the middle.
Take that!
I think I see it. See what? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into a lot of mischief trying to be the center of attention. What do you mean? This newspaper clipping has a picture of you and Ron Delight in his guard uniform. It seems that Mask to Mask didn't just disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in a bucket. That's not your voice. That sounds far too stupid to be true. Correct. With tricks like that, he couldn't fool a baby, let alone an ace detective. That's when you figured it out, Mr. Atmey. That's when you learned that under his mask, Mask to Mask was really Ron Delight. Wasn't he supposed to be Mask to Mask? Not only that, it looks like he wasn't even an ace detective. I can't believe it, he was just a slimy blackmailer. A fraud, trying to pass himself off as an ace detective. How dare you expose me like that? Why, I never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm a famous and proud ace detective, and also Mask to Mask. Why can't you understand that? I'm afraid you're neither a proud thief nor an ace detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. That is your true identity. Why you? It's enough to make one laugh. It would seem we finally arrived at the real answer.
That was quite a performance by Mr. Atmey.
Bailiff, please prepare a cell for Mr. Atmey.
Objection!
A hammer that strikes too fast has no time to aim. You mean I'm already prepared to deliver my ruling? Allow me to say one thing. I will be the one to judge.
You don't get much more in your face than that.
It appears your claws weren't quite sharp enough, Mr. Trite.
What do you...
It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Luke Atmey was a filthy blackmailer. And he wasn't at Lordly Taylor on the night of the murder.
That's right. That's why he's the one who killed Mr. Bull.
But there's still one thing you have yet to prove. What's that? Just because he wasn't at the warehouse doesn't mean he was at the murder scene. Therefore, if you can't prove that this pitiful excuse for a man was at KB Security, then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered.
No way!
Order in the court. Well, Mr. Wright?
This is it. This is the final round. I've got to prove that Atmey was at Mr. Bullard's office on that night. But can you really prove that?
That's long enough, Mr. Trite. I want to hear your answer.
That night, Luke Atmey was at KB Security, and the defense.
Prove it. Defense can prove it, with evidence. Are you sure? Don't you worry. I'll watch over you. As you break down and fall to pieces. Very well then. Let's see this proof. Proof that Luke Atmey... Oh wait.
This is the proof.
It's true. As is very important. However, I'm not so foolish as to think that will pass for evidence here. Mr. Wright, time you learn the true flavor of life. Flavor of my special Godot blend, number 49. Mr. Wright? It's bitter. Very bitter.
Come on, Nick, don't give up now.
Don't mind me. I made a safety save for a reason. Can't prove it. I can't prove it. Just as I thought. But if we hear more of Detective Atmey's testimony.
Objection!
Unfortunately, that's as far as you go, Mr. Wright. What do you mean? I won't allow for any more testimony. That's what I mean. What? Have you forgotten? Luke Atmey's here after we interrupted his own trial. And you failed to prove that he committed the murder. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial. And face his guilty verdict as mask to mask. No.
Well now, sir lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as mask to mask. My verdict will verify that. Just as Rhonda Lights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness.
Order. Order in the court. That's enough deliberation over this witness.
I can't believe this. At this rate, Rana's... Don't give up now, Nick. We still have tomorrow. We can look for more evidence and...
By then it'll be too late.
Huh? Why?
Double jeopardy. One of the basic rules of any court of law.
Double jeopardy?
The defendant be tried and found innocent in court. The defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. This is a fundamental rule of all courts. And it applies to this witness as much as it applies to anyone else. Mr. Atmey will be found guilty in a matter of minutes. Guilty as mask to mask, which means he'll be innocent as far as the murder of Kane Bullard is concerned. But he won't be pronounced innocent, though.
No way.
The fact that you are unable to prove Mr. Atmey's guilt of that crime here means that he will never again be tried as Kane Bullard's murderer.
Ugh.
There's nothing I can possibly do to win. Even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent, the real killer, Luke Atmey, will go free. I've cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today, and as long as there is no more testimony, I'm afraid I have to declare that there will be no further questioning of this witness. Are there any objections? Then I hereby end the cross-examination of Luke Atmey.
Objection!
That sounded like Franziska's voice line.
I think I see it.
Who is this?
Your Honor, when you were a child, this is what was on your report card every year. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result.
How did you?
Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? A lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad it gets.
That voice. No way. Oh, it was Mia. Okay.
Long time no see, Phoenix.
Mia! This is the true power of the Kurine channeling technique. I know that it's really Maya who's standing before me. Right now, she's my mentor, Mia Fey.
Now, let's do this.
But there's nothing more we can do, Mia. Without any more testimony, I can't cross-examine.
Not yet. The testimony's not over yet.
What do you mean?
Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You've cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today.
Yes, that's true, but...
Unfortunately, Your Honor, you're forgetting something. Earlier, after the last cross-examination, this witness made a number of remarks.
Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as Master Mask. My verdict will verify that. Just as Rondelite, yep, I declare this... It's the rambling afterward. Yes, but these comments appear to have no importance whatsoever.
Very well then. We shall prove their importance via cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witness has made these remarks, we, the defense, assert our right to question them. Is that all right with you, prosecutor?
Is something the matter, Mr. Cadeau? Nothing. Oh, Sir Lawyer, it looks like you're one step too late. If you think such falsehoods will do anything to me, look at... Let's hear it. Huh. It's true that the witness made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination. Mr. Godot, what are you... Very well then. Mr. Luke Atmey, going to allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks.
The defense would like to hear why you declared the defendant to be the true murderer.
So please, give us one last bit of testimony.
Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance.
Yes, Chief. Indeed, it is true that I was not at Lordly Taylor. I had to leave to see about another vitally important job request. I had known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was what informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. And thanks to the keycard and wallet, it was abundantly clear he was there. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit, which is why he left no prints. Pause for dramatic effect, because, you shouldn't know that, buddy. And, the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. Zavari. Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy. His testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well. Mrs. earlier remarks do not appear to have been hastily prepared. All of his points have been explained, and none of them seem to contradict anything. But of course. What? How did you know about the emergency buzzer? The police investigation documents went directly through me. And I always look over all the documents. It's elementary, Sir Lawyer. Ugh. You gonna make even more trouble for us now, Sir Lawyer? I will not allow any of your usual shenanigans, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. We cannot postpone Luke Atmey's trial any longer. This is your last chance. Hang on a sec. Just one chance? Seems the party's about to begin.
Well, Phoenix,
There isn't any evidence that contradicts with that testimony.
and so it would seem.
What do you mean, so it would seem?
Listen, Phoenix, pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean you have to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance. If you can't point out a case-breaking contradiction, you lose. That's all there is to it.
Cup number 17. The last cup. Seems like the time has come to put an end to this trial. find a fatal contradiction in this testimony. And I need to point it out without presenting evidence. Which means all I can do is find the contradictory remark and press it.
Remember, you only get one chance.
Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your final cross-examination. Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit, which was only just stated in court while you were in your court, in the other room. So how would you know that information?
Hold it!
Mr. Atmey, about this last remark.
Objection!
You still don't get it, do you, Trite? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement. I'm afraid you're the one who still doesn't get it, Mr. Godot. What? Mr. Atmey, it seems you finally admitted that you were in the CEO's office on the night of the murder. How can you say that? Let's review your testimony, shall we, Mr. Atmey? The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit. Is that correct? Indeed. That's what I said. My deductions are absolutely foolproof. Or like your deductions prove that you're a fool. I'm sorry. Whatever do you mean? For some reason, I'm starting to get really thirsty. When exactly did we learn the fact that Ron Delight was dressed as Mask to Mask when he went to the scene of the crime? That was, it was just a few hours ago. Back when my sixth cup was looking at me with a cold stare. Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? I'm sorry. I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. That's right. The defendant had yet to tell anyone else this fact before this morning. Therefore, the only people who should know about this are those who have been watching this trial. Are those who have been watching this trial. Do you understand now, Detective Atmey? There's no way that you should have known about that. You were in the next courtroom being tried as Mask to Mask. So then, enlighten us. Just how did you know about that piece of information? Well... Come on. This detective must have known about it. He probably had plenty of chances to find out beforehand. And it's those chances that I want to discuss next. That night, Mr. Delight was wearing his Mask-to-Mask outfit. There is one and only one way for Detective Atmey to have found that out. One way, you say? Please recall, if you will, Mr. Delight's testimony. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. For a second, my client witnessed the real killer.
Objection!
But Mr. Delight never saw his attacker. There's no way to tell whether or not the real killer was Luke Atmey. It's with that statement that I'll turn this case on its head. Just what are you implying? Mr. Delight saw the real killer, correct? Now, if you turn that statement around, it stands to reason that the real killer had also seen Ron Delight. Impossible. Detective Atmey, you saw Mask to Mask at the murder scene that night. You saw him when you killed Kane Bullard and assaulted Ron Delight. That was the only way that you could have known what Ron was wearing. Take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one myself. Here I am, the tragic clown. That's the same line you gave yesterday. But I think there's a little more meaning behind it this time. Awfully complicated incident. Kane Board was blackmailing Luke Atmey, who was in turn blackmailing Ron Delight. Upon killing his blackmailer, Luke Atmey tried to frame Ron Delight. He then claimed to be guilty as Mask to Mask in order to escape his true crime. To that end, he came up with this plan, to use the double jeopardy rule when making his alibi. At any rate, it would seem we finally found the truth.
Excuse me.
I came perilously close to besmirching the record of an innocent young man. This is the third time I've said this case. Besmirching him with the title of murderer.
Don't ignore me!
Oh, I didn't realize you were there.
Why wouldn't he be? About the verdict.
I know. You never committed any murder.
That's right. I'm glad you understand that, but I really am Mask to Mask.
Huh?
And so thanks to that trial yesterday, I'm innocent now, right? What was it you said? Double jeopardy?
Did you mention it? I've been careless.
Careless?
What do you think, Mia?
As the defendant says, the rule of double jeopardy is absolute. The defendant can never be tried twice for a crime in which he was found innocent.
Then, Mask to Mask is really innocent?
It would seem so. For now.
For now. Now then, this court finds the defendant not guilty.
Boy, this is really lucky. Wait, this isn't so good after all. You see, the thing is, I still am Mask to Mask after all. You did it, Phoenix.
Thanks, Mia. It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Hey, Mr. Shins, how are you doing? Yeah, it's because Maya doesn't call on me much these days.
Oh?
I'm just joking, Phoenix. Don't take everything so seriously. But on the other hand, Maya, she seems kind of torn these days.
You know about becoming the master of the Kurine channeling school? Doing good? Nice.
Becoming the master means saying goodbye to our mother.
Misty Faye, right?
Watch over her, will you, Phoenix?
Of course. Right up until Apollo Justice.
Well then, and see you around.
Mia.
Mr. Wright. I don't know what to say.
Congratulations, Mr. Delight.
Thank you so much. No, wait. Nothing really matters anymore, though. Now that all this happened. Come on, just be happy already. You've been cleared of the murder charges and got off as Mask to Mask to boot. But in exchange, I lost everything. Huh? What do you mean? Stealing security information from KB Security, becoming Mask to Mask. I did it all for one reason. For her.
You mean your wife, Desiree?
She hates criminals more than anything.
Come to think of it, she was once held hostage by some robbers, wasn't she?
And she always said how she hated sneaky criminals. I knew that, but once I got fired from KB Security and lost all the money I had, she wouldn't have any reason to stay with me. I thought she would leave me for sure.
So that's why you became Mask to Mask?
Yes, but it's all over now. The broken bowl can never be put back together. That's not true, right, Nick?
Right. Really? Can we go back to the way things were?
You'll be fine, and Nick can prove it.
I can? I wish you'd check with me first. Mr. Delight, even if a bowl is broken, there's always a way to put it back together.
Take that!
The sacred urn? Tessie was the one who found this. Desiree, your wife. She's always believed in you, Ron. That's why you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about anything.
There you are.
Miss Delight.
You did it, Ronnie. You're innocent. I'm so happy.
Thank you. I appreciate that, but, I suppose you don't want anything more to do with me, do you?
Ronnie, why didn't you talk to me about what was going on? I had no idea you'd quit KB Security. I never imagined that you were really mask to mask either. Miss Delight, what are you gonna do now that you know? You're not going to really leave him, are you? Come on. It's obvious, isn't it? How could I ever let a wonderful man like him get away? After all, my bike's really fast. And so fast, there's no way he could ever get away.
Didn't you say that you hated criminals?
Oh, I only hate people who act all cowardly and sneaky. Like that detective.
I see.
My Ronnie went and declared his crimes before he committed them, like a man. I just love a man who's so chivalrous. And chivalrous? I knew I was right about you. Every day I spend with you is filled with thrills and excitement.
Tessie. Desiree. Really do love Ron, don't you?
Nicky boy,
Yes?
I'm really glad I asked you to defend my Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'll never forget what you've done for us.
Oh, well, take care of yourself.
You too, Nicky boy.
But my face going red.
Mr. Nick, Mystic Maya, congratulations!
Talk about bad timing.
Mr. Nick, how could you? With another man's wife, in front of Mystic Maya!
I stayed on top of that right up until it threw a phoenix line in the middle of it, and it threw me off. So just as the case came to a close, so did my consciousness. Ron said a broken bowl can never be put back together. But I know that's not true. I mean, just look. There's a perfect example of one that was put back together even better than before. Recipe for turnabout. It's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong the trial. This case is extremely clear. I see no room for misinterpretation of the facts.
It wasn't me. I swear it wasn't me.
Evidence and testimony we've seen and heard are conclusive. The victim was alone at his table when he drank from that poisoned cup of coffee.
No, you're wrong. I know what I saw. I saw... I saw someone else there. A man. He's the real killer.
Have a good night, Mr. Shins.
Why won't anyone believe me?
Well, I'd say that pretty much wraps this case up, wouldn't you, Mr. Wright?
This court finds the defendant guilty. This court is adjourned. It's really funny. When I played this game casually, I thought that I somehow bugged the game when that popped up. Because it's very just out of the blue.
Ah, the start of a new year. It always makes me feel like I can take on the whole world.
I bet it does, Maya.
So I've decided that our resolution should be Zavari, take on the world. What do you think?
Sure, whatever, Maya. But I think maybe you've had more than enough mistletoe cake.
Never. You've got to eat a lot of cake during New Year's. That's practically a tradition. Like watching the fireworks on TV, or playing a board game.
Hey, pal. Detective Gumshoe?
Happy New Year, Detective.
Likewise. Now listen up, Wright. I wanna...
Here's to another fruitful year of lawyer-police cooperation.
Yeah, me too. Alright, pal, you got some explaining to do.
Have you got a holiday present for me, Detective?
What? Well, here, have this. It's really nothing much, but...
Yay, thanks.
Look, pal, we need to have a talk. Take a seat.
Hey, what about Pearly? You haven't forgotten her present, have you?
No. I mean, yes, I mean, no. You doing this on purpose?
I guess I'm busted. How did you like my first practical joke of the year?
Very funny, pal. Let's see how funny you think this is, or you think it is when I show you this. What is it? A magazine?
Hey, I want to see. Deadly poisoning brings guilty verdict. Defense attorney Wright trounced?
Trounced? Let me see that. Defense attorney gave an almost childishly amateur performance yesterday. What the heck is this? It's a report, pal, about you.
Listen to this. Mr. Wright must take full responsibility for the ruling in this case.
Well, don't you tell me you don't remember anything about it. But I don't remember anything about it. When was that issue from, anyway? December last year. Which I guess makes it last month.
Which makes it old news, you mean?
But I wasn't involved in a poisoning case in December.
So what do you think this is all about, Nick?
Wasn't you, pal? Then it leaves only one possibility.
No way. You don't mean... A phony Nick?
This must be Gumshoe's idea of a joke. Guess he's starting off the year with one, too. So, what are you gonna do about it, pal? You mean, what am I going to do about it?
Well, it's your fault the judge found the defendant guilty in this case.
My fault? How do you figure that?
Because the Phoenix Wright is super famous now. Well, maybe only sort of.
Yeah. See what happens when you hotshots start getting too full of yourselves? I didn't do anything wrong. At least, not that I can remember. Better make this right, pal, now. That means taking the case back to court, got it?
It sounds like we've got our first case of the new year. Let's tackle it with gusto.
I don't know. The judge already issued a guilty verdict once in this case. It's not going to be easy to get it overturned.
I guess that New Year's resolution is gonna have to wait until next year.
You're taking the case, right? Good, I'm gonna head over to the courthouse then. After that, I'll go back to the precinct. Drop by if you need something, okay, pal? Guess people are starting to know the name Phoenix Wright. Client entrusted a case to me based on my reputation. Guess I'm kinda responsible. But why would someone want to impersonate me? What sort of guy would do that? Also, something really interesting. There is a fan... There's a fan theory that, essentially, how do I explain this? So, the Professor Layton Phoenix Wright crossover is non-canon to either game's universe. It's purely a crossover. It is non-canon in the most literal sense. There is a headcanon that actually makes a lot of sense. That is that, the entirety of Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright takes place between the Stolen Turnabout and Recipe for Turnabout. Because that would mean that Phoenix was in England for the duration of Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. Meaning that he was out of the country, which would mean that the imposter would be able to impersonate Phoenix Wright without Phoenix knowing about it, you know? It's just, it slots in weirdly well if you put Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright between these two cases, because it gives a reason as to why Phoenix never, you know, heard anything about this case or, you know, the imposter.
So, what's our first move?
Guess we don't go down to the detention center and talk.
Wait a sec, Nick. This person's behind bars because of you. Whoever it is isn't going to be jumping at the chance to meet you, right?
Hey, let's get one thing straight. It wasn't me. It was a fake me that did this.
I wonder if he looks exactly like you. You're phony. Zin E-Hop, I mean.
I hope not. Ugh. What kind of name for an evil double is Zin E-Hop anyway? It's just Phoenix backwards.
Nick, I got it.
Going to ask me whether I've got a twin brother, the answer is no.
Spoil sport. Did you notice Gumshoe was acting weirder than usual, or was it just me?
You mean?
I mean, he was really worked up. Like a guy who just found out he's going to be a dad or something.
Yeah, I guess he was acting kind of strange.
Maybe he realized that he's got strong feelings for you, Nick.
Considering how we interact, I seriously doubt that, Maya. Nah, if anything, Gumshoe's got feelings for Edgeworth.
Well, if he wasn't nervous because of you...
Maybe it's because of our new guilty client? I'm a lawyer.
And so you've still got that badge, I see.
Huh? Well, I'm a lawyer, aren't I?
Yeah, but I guess I just didn't think you'd keep it on... Or... I guess I just didn't think you keep on being one for this long.
Jesus, why was that sentence so hard?
You have to admit, you've had some close brushes with death because of your job.
I fail to see how being a lawyer is more dangerous than channeling dead people. I probably should have read that. Nope, I didn't mean to do that. Do you know anything about this, Maya?
Even someone as worldly wise as me doesn't know everything about everything about everything, Nick. So I, the great Maya, am sad to say that I can't tell you much about this object.
Simple yes or no, Maya. It's not as if you had to give me a dissertation.
I can't believe that you've got an impersonator.
I can't either.
Ah, but look on the bright side. Only famous stars have people impersonating them.
This isn't funny, Maya. It's not just an impersonation. This guy stole my identity. Someone may have been wrongly convicted as a result.
Guess you should have gone into showbiz, huh, Nick?
I'll never understand how your mind works, Maya.
This is so nerve-wracking, waiting to meet our new client. I wonder just what kind of person you tricked and got found guilty.
Keep it down, Maya. Kind of talk could ruin me.
How could you, Mr. Wright? How could you do this to me? They put me in solitary. I haven't been able to stop crying.
Aren't you...
Yes, I am. I'm totally and utterly let down. Are you? Don't pretend you don't know me. It's me, Maggie. Remember Maggie Bird?
Maggie Bird. Ah. Maggie Bird. She's the policewoman I defended that one time. She was accused of murdering her lover. He was a cop, too. What are you doing in there? Didn't I get you a quick...
Oh, sure, very funny. After that fifth-rate defense and job, you came in here and start making jokes? You better hurry up and tell her what happened, Nick. Oh, I see.
So that's where we stand right now.
I'm sorry you've been caught up in another murder. My whole life has been nothing but a whirlwind of bad luck and failures.
Vaguely remember her saying the exact same thing last time.
But I don't mind. What's one more disaster in my life? At least now the real Mr. Wright is here with me. I won't let the world keep me down, sir. So, how come you're dressed like that, Maggie? Last year you looked so sharp in that police uniform. I was fired after that incident last year. Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay, I don't mind one bit. I enjoyed being on the force, but I think it was time for me to move on. And so, what do you do now? In the second act of The Life of Maggie Bird, I'm playing the role of a waitress. A waitress?
Also, fun fact. Two fun facts, actually. At the end of Justice for All, during the credits roll, when it goes through all of your clients and they're all giving their little spiel, Maggie is like, hey, I'm going to go become a waitress at the end of Justice for All. Second fun fact. This case was originally supposed to be a Justice for All case, but they had to cut it due to GBA memory limitations.
A waitress? Yes, in a French restaurant. It's a small place, but it's quite fashionable. My charming smile and shapely figure came through for me. And the owner, Mr. Armstrong, hired me straight away, sir.
Got into this mess straight away, right?
Yeah, you could put it that way. This whole mess started on the 3rd of last month. And it happened in Tribulations. Tribulations? Yes, it's a restaurant where good service and a friendly smile are always included. Oh. There were 2 men at the table, both drinking coffee. And then... one of the men slipped some poison into the victim's cup. The victim took just one sip and was gasping for air. I was so shocked I passed out. Hey, hold on there, Maggie. What? You keep calling the guy the victim. Didn't you know the guy who was killed? Not at all. I've never even seen the guy before. Oh.
So she wouldn't have a motive to kill him then, I guess. Other man. Killer. You saw him, right?
Of course. A good waitress must be attentive to the clientele.
So you saw the killer, but you were found guilty of the crime anyway? How come?
You tell me, Mr. Wright.
Guess the answer to my question is my phony. Anyway, she saw the killer. Better see if I can get a description of the guy.
So, if you saw the murderer, why were you still convicted? Because no one else saw. Saw what? The other man. The one who put the poison in the victim's coffee. Everyone testified that way. Mr. Armstrong, the customer, everyone. And the victim was sitting alone at his table the whole time.
How's that possible?
I don't know, but nobody, not one person would believe me, sir. Even Phoenix Wright, my one last hope for a fair trial, failed me. What a pathetic defense. My granny could have done a better job.
Look, that wasn't me, okay?
And then, they found something a bit incriminating in my apron pocket. What? A small bottle of poison. What? Poison? It was in your pocket? Well, I passed out when the victim collapsed. The killer must have slipped the poison into my pocket while I was unconscious.
No one else saw this other guy.
No, sir. That's what everyone said, but I don't see how they could have missed him. I was the one who took the coffee to the two men.
Oh? What was your impression of them?
Well, when I first saw them, I kinda thought they'd be in the music industry. In music? How come? Well, one of them had some sort of earpiece, and an emo musician's look about him. And there was a sample CD on the table, sir. An earpiece and a sample CD, huh? Did you get a look at the CD at all? It had a band's name written on it. I think it was MC something. They must have been preparing for their debut, I guess.
So it was a band CD. Be a promo disc?
Maybe it was MC Screwdriver.
Get serious, Maya. Did you buy the CD of a group named that?
What was the name of that group again? MC Hacksaw? No. MC... And what about the killer? What did he look like? Well, I don't really remember. Only that he was a young man, well built like the victim, really. It's been ages since we came down to the precinct, huh, Nick?
It's like Gumshoe isn't around.
He's got it so easy leaving everyone else to do the work.
No, he's out there somewhere. My bet is on the courthouse. He's probably trying to arrange the retrial of this case.
Guess that means we should go to the detention center and chat with our killer, huh?
After being convicted without a fair trial, I'm not sure that killer is the right label.
That badge, is it real?
Of course it's real.
That's what they all say. But I've been duped before. Give it to me for a sec. And she bit into it. And left a few teeth marks, too.
See that.
I just wish I could remember if that means if it's real or fake.
I said it was real. Oh yeah. I need to ask you about this.
Hey, this article's about my case.
Can you tell me anything about the guy who was pretending to be me?
Yes, sir. It was the morning after I'd been arrested. I met you in the visitor's room here. You were wearing one of your super sharp suits.
Me?
Yes, you, Mr. Wright. Hey, Maggie, was my evil double I am here too? No, I don't remember a phony you, Maya. Oh. Would have been so cool. And then you got really worked up and passionate. I'm gonna get you cleared. Cleared of this crime, you said.
Okay, I get the picture. But you've met me in person before. So how come you didn't realize that guy wasn't the real me?
I guess, looking back now, it was a little strange.
Only a little?
Well, okay, so you were a bit taller than normal, and you looked a bit shady, and your voice was a bit weird. Oh, and you had this kind of funny accent, and...
So the guy was nothing like me then?
But he had your spiky hair and blue suit.
Is that all it takes for someone to imitate me?
how about everyone else in the courtroom, like the judge and the observers? Didn't they realize he was an imposter? Everyone had these big question marks on their faces, but it seemed that no one wanted to say anything, sir. And this case just keeps getting weirder and weirder. Mr. Wright, do you think it's possible to get a retrial?
Probably. Court ruled in the absence of a genuine defense attorney. So we should be able to get a retrial.
Mr. Wright? Do you think we'll win next time, sir? My life has been a full-course meal of bad luck, complete with defeat for dessert. Ever since I was 6 months old, when I fell from the 9th floor of my apartment building. I've been hit by all sorts of vehicles, gotten sick from all sorts of foods, failed almost every test I've taken, experienced almost every kind of disaster. I even landed a phony lawyer when I had misfortune of being accused of murder. But I will survive, because Maggie Bird always lives to fight another day. And one day I'll find it. Just you wait and see, sir. I'll find that one single moment of good luck. Zin E-Hop is really gonna pay for this.
What are you staring at me like that for? Maya's right. Whoever it is that thought it was a good idea to use my name and get an innocent girl convicted of murder had better watch out.
We'll find him. Don't you worry. We'll get Zin E-Hop for you. Thank you. Oh, I'll tell you where Trey Bien is then.
Trade. Right, the restaurant where the murder took place.
Yes, sir. When you go, please tell Mr. Armstrong I said hi. Sure. All right, Nick. Let's go check out this restaurant and its food. Wow, look at this place.
Look, I like smell. What's the suffocating scent of flowers in here? And again, girls like that kind of thing, right?
Actually, I'm not all that into it. No one's coming to seat us. Maybe there's no one here?
Don't be silly, Maya. This is a restaurant, and it's open for business. Hello? Anyone here? Don't believe it. There really isn't anyone here.
Perfect. Let's get intrusive. If there's no one here, we can take anything we want.
Yeah, I suppose we can.
It's a rack full of fashion magazines, and they're all in French.
Can you try wearing something a bit more chic sometime, huh, Maya?
Yeah, I guess I could. I'm always in my acolyte clothes, aren't I? It'd be fun to wear more normal clothes every now and then.
Something stuffed in behind the rack.
It looks like a sports paper to me. Hey, and look at this. Someone scribbled a little doodle on one of the pages. MC Bomber. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. $100,000? Maybe?
I wonder what MC Bomber is supposed to be. It's paper. It's from December 3rd. This paper's from the day of the poisoning.
What?
Paper from the day of the murder. This has got to be a clue. I should see if I can find out some more about this paper.
It's a rack full of fashion magazines, and they're all in French.
Is this the same? Found that sports paper behind this magazine rack earlier. I'd better try to find out everything I can about it. It's the restaurant's front entrance. There's a sign hanging on the door written in French. Probably says open or closed. It must be one or the other, but I don't know which is which since I don't know Jacques about French.
Look at all the little trinkets tucked away in here.
But Mr. Armstrong collected all these personally. Let's see, a bouquet of flowers, some potpourri. And look, fine bone china cups.
I never knew you were so cultured.
Come on, Maya. This is common knowledge. Any Joe Schmo knows this much.
Look, it's one of those magical boxes that spits out money.
You know, you're the only person who would ever describe a cash register in that way. This table's set nicely. It just needs a customer.
What do you think this flower is, Nick?
Let's see. Well, it doesn't look like a tulip, and it's not a sunflower, I don't think.
Duh, even I could have told you that.
Well, those are the only kinds of flowers I know. Dagnabbit. I'm a lawyer, not a botanist. This must be the table where the murder occurred.
I guess so. With all this police tape around it.
And that stain must be from the poisoned coffee. Don't go licking the tablecloth, okay, Maya?
Why would I lick it? I'm not a cat, you know?
Why can I picture you doing just that? Wow, it's a beautiful winter wonderland out there.
Really? Cool, I love snow. Let me see. Huh? It's not white. It's not even snowing.
Got ya. I was only kidding, Maya.
Nick. There are lies that are okay to tell and lies that definitely aren't.
All I did was tell an itty-bitty white lie about a non-existent white snow. This restaurant has partitions that separate the tables. When you're seated at a table, you can only see the tables to your left or right. Ah! Ow! I'm casually giving myself a Charlie horse in my jaw. I just realized I committed a grave sin. Charlie, a quite decorative plant. He's sort of a keepsake, something to remember me by. Sure, the office is a mess, but I never forget to water this little fella. An old movie poster. Apparently, this was the first movie that made Mia cry when she saw it a long time ago. I watched it recently, and she cried all night too. Which I guess is why it's back up on the wall. Let's check it out one of these days.
Oh, a sports paper. Let's see. Did Gustin Braun manage to defend his heavyweight title?
Sorry, Maggie. That paper's actually a month old. It's from the day of the murder.
And Gutson got knocked out yesterday, I'm afraid. Oh no.
I found this paper in the magazine rack at Tribulations.
Really? That's strange. Tribune doesn't get newspapers. Mr. Armstrong says he's not really fond of them. Then, maybe one of the customers just left it behind?
Anyway, what I want you to take a look at is this scribble here.
Aha! That's it, sir. MC Bomber. That's the name that was written on the CD.
Just as I thought.
I guess it was an MC Screwdriver after all, huh? And so, that $100,000 must be a down payment for a record deal, right? If someone gave me $100,000, I'd sing for sure. The Master of Kurine, or the Spirit Song, or even Maya's theme.
Okay, Maya. So if the sample CD was on the victim's table, that means this newspaper may have belonged to the victim.
You're right.
So the victim left this behind on the day of the murder, huh?
I think we'd better step up the investigation, don't you, Nick?
Oh gosh. I don't even know what to do for Armstrong. Like, he's he's riding the very fine line of being both a gay stereotype and a French stereotype. Oh la la, bonjour. Welcome to La Tribulations.
Oh, hello.
What happened to Maya? She's frozen stiff. Oh gosh. Actually, how is that pronounced? Like, I see, like, my brain wants to pronounce it as bienvenue, but... Welcome to my petite restaurante.
Huh? The Avenue?
Oh no, my petite tulip.
Huh? Me?
Look at this face. Like the kitten rejected by its own mother. You are fatigued, non? I feel like I'm offending every French-speaking person. Hello, you need this. An aromatic bath oil melange of... Jesus Christ. And of la... That's nay. Gosh. I need to get one of my French-speaking friends in here. And the rose. My personal recommendation.
You think I need what?
Oui. Just a couple of drops of this mixture into the bathwater. Wow. And voila! It will soothe your body and your mind. It's simply fantastic.
Really?
And for la monsieur. Who? Me? Look at that face. Like the puppy rejected by life itself. You are fatigued, no? For you, monsieur, I recommend this. Oil of bergamot? And maybe an hint of oui. I will add la peppermint and clary sage for a fragrance exceptional. Such an invigorating recipe will bring out your delicious beauty, monsieur. My beauty? Hello. If you will be seated, I will bring you the special menu of the day. Actually, we're not here to eat. We're lawyers. Ma bien sûr. I know this already, monsieur. You are La Phoenix Wright, no? Yes, you know me? My oui. I never forget a man who flirts with me, especially in court.
I guess he was cross-examined by our mysterious Zin E-Hop.
It's like everyone to do with this case knows who I am already.
I wonder what sort of impressions Zin E-Hop's leaving on people, don't you?
Allow me to introduce myself to you again. I am Jean Armstrong, enchanté.
And so what does très bien mean? I know très, that means 3, right?
No. Très bien is François. In English, you would say very good.
Oh, very good.
Oui, exactement. La atmosphere is très bien, and la cuisine is très bien. If the food's so good, why aren't there any customers in here? My cuisine is not for all. Some people, they do not appreciate la haute cuisine. Not everyone liked hot cuisine. And since I've lost Maggie, I do not have enough hands. So you're running this place on your own now? Oui. Well, a moment. No one has answered my advertisement. Oh, poor moi. Please don't eyeball me while you say that. Phoenix in the maid outfit? Here we go. I am the chef. I am the manager. I am also a trained aromatherapist.
A roaming what?
Practitioner de aromatherapy. The art of soothing the soul with delicate floral aromas. Christ, I feel like I'm offending everyone doing this. I'm sorry, everyone who lives in France and speaks French. Delicate. The smell coming from that bottle earlier was anything but. Yeah, it's because you're supposed to dilute it with water, Phoenix. So, could you tell me what you know about the incident? Bien. It makes me sad to remember. It makes me sad to remember it, yet I remember it so well. More than a month has passed since it happened. Yeah, I guess it's been about a month since Maggie's sentencing. So it was the 3rd of last month, just after 1 in the afternoon. A man who was in here for a coffee study suddenly became ill. Because of the poison in his coffee. That is the truth as I know it. It was Maggie who took his drink to him. I was in the kitchen. I heard the sound of someone collapsing. When I came out to see what it was, he was already slumped in his chair.
He was dead?
Mon Dieu, oui, he was dead. Maggie had passed out also. This man who died, is he alone? Oui, monsieur. All alone. I know that Maggie said there was someone else, but...
I see.
The police. They asked me many times. Are you sure there was no one else at the table? They asked. But I am not the only one. The old man said the same thing. Old man? What old man? So who is this old man that you mentioned? At the time of the murder, there was another customer in here.
What? Someone else saw it.
My oui. As usual, he came alone at that day. At the time of the murder, he was there. I saw it too. Armstrong, why do you have so much dialogue? But he said the same thing, that there was no one else at the victim's table.
But Maggie swears there were 2 people.
Mademoiselle, the lawyer, he could not prove, Wait. Not the lawyer. That was me, I suppose? My bien sûr. Wow. He's the first person who said it wasn't me.
Don't kid yourself, Nick. Now, who was the one making stuff up?
Please, monsieur. There is no need to show me that. You are more Phoenix Wright, the worst defense attorney in town. I think I can imagine how he formed his completely wrong impression of me. The last time we met, did I show you this badge? Oui. You flashed it to everyone in the restaurant.
Looks like Zinni Hop is a bigger fan of flashing stuff than you are, Nick.
I'm not a lawyer myself. I do not wish to speak out of turn. But your defense in court that day was a little, how you say, lacking, perhaps. Even a Frenchman who could not speak any English would have done a better job. You were very cool, though. Oh, oui, and so handsome.
Wow. I wonder just how bad the defense could have been.
Every time you opened your mouth, the old courthouse stirred. Oh man, something I don't want to imagine. We found this sports paper in the magazine rack here. One of my customers must have left it behind.
Do you have any idea which customer it was?
The only ideas I have, mademoiselle, save for my kitchen. Oh, whoops. Maggie was a policewoman once. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. Yes, but she had to quit for reasons beyond her control. Oui. She was la suspect in the murder investigation, no?
Oh, you know about that?
That is why I gave her the perfume for her happiness. Happiness perfume? Oui, blended from bergamot. Like I've given you before. She's been arrested again and found guilty this time. This is true. A natural aroma of unhappiness must have been very strong. Just admit it, your perfume doesn't work. I'm not surprised she was the prime suspect. After something like that took place before my very eyes.
Something like what?
What's this guy talking about?
Does this mean Maggie did have a motive?
Gotta ask this guy for more info. Stat. When Maggie took the coffee over to the victim, did anything happen? I suppose you could say so. So, what happened? No, it was nothing.
Look, Maggie says she didn't even know the guy. But she's still been indicted for murder. The prosecution must have come up with some kind of motive.
It is true. If there's anything at all between Maggie and the victim, it could be relevant.
So please, tell us anything that you know.
3? Yep. Psyche locks?
No, wait, what are we gonna do, Nick?
We'll just have to remember. What the?
What's wrong?
Magatama, it's gone.
Huh?
I had it in my pocket, but it's vanished into thin air.
What?
But I could still see the Psyche locks. Maybe that means the Magatama's nearby? Mr. Armstrong, did I just confirm something with you again? The table where the victim was sitting, was anyone else sitting there? That is a question you will have to ask him yourselves. Huh? Him? Or wait.
Him?
The old man spends all of his time at... Danzela Park? Danla Park. Well, the park? Oh, a park. What park's that? Behind the restaurant. It's called Vitamin Square.
Thank you.
Is that... Wow. Javu en... Pry? Or pre? I assume? My dear.
Let's go check out this Vitamin Square right now, Nick. And so this is Vitamin Square.
Yeah, I see where they get the name from now. We're screaming vitamins at you.
Hey, Nick. That's the guy, right? Isn't that the old man Mr. Armstrong was talking about?
That grouchy-looking grandpa?
He's throwing seeds out for the pigeons.
Wait, he's not throwing seeds for them. He's throwing seeds at them. Ugh, my grumpiness threat level has just been raised to red. Okay. So, that's gonna be where I end for tonight. Exclamation point Discord if you want to join the Discord. Exclamation point socials if you want to check out the VODs channel. Give me a second, we'll find someone to raid. Hey, Pahi's streaming. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. I should be streaming more of this tomorrow. And I guess, have a good one, and take care.